angry because they're frustrated and done with pretty words. People are angry because they're done with pretty speeches from people in power who could do something about it right now.
Well, Jagmeet Singh made a very fiery speech in the House of Commons today on the outcome of these protests, what is to be done, and being hard on leadership. And he even says he doesn't have the answers.
People around the world saw the killing of George Floyd. It left all of us shaken to our core. It was chilling. The casual violence of anti-Black racism. The callous taking of another human being's life. It hurt to the core. There was pain, there was sadness, and rightly so, there is anger. There is frustration. This isn't just an American problem, this is just as much a Canadian problem as well. And something that continues to exist across our country. Anti-Black racism, anti-Indigenous racism is real. People have suffered in violence. Indigenous people, Black people have suffered violence and have been killed at the hands of police here in Canada. I think about Regis Korchinski-Paquette in Toronto and the calls for justice for Regis, a trans Black woman who was killed in suspicious circumstances in interaction with the police. I think about Stuart Kevin Andrews, a young Indigenous man killed in an interaction with the police in Winnipeg. And the anger and the frustration is how many more people need to die before there's action? How many more speeches will be made? How many more protests need to happen before something is done? How many more times will people plead to breathe? How many more times will they plead to live? What we're talking about is basic human dignity. How many more voices have to ask, demand, plead, beg for basic human dignity? People are angry. They're feeling like enough is enough. Why do they need to keep on asking? Why do Black people, why do Indigenous people need to keep on asking to be treated like a human? Why? You know what? People are done with pretty speeches, particularly pretty speeches from people in power that could do something about it right now if they wanted to. I'm standing in a hall of power, in the Chamber of Commons, with a Prime Minister who has the power to not just say pretty words, to actually do something about this. The Prime Minister of this country has the power to go beyond pretty words and pretty speeches and do something. Now, I don't have all the answers. I don't think any one person does. We're going to have to come up with those solutions together. But there are certainly some things that we do know. Martin Luther King said, "Peace is not merely the absence of tension. Peace is the presence of justice." That's what we need. We need justice. Killer Mike extolled that people should plan, plot, strategize, organize, and then mobilize. Cardi B put it this way: another way for the people to take power, and I don't want to make everything political, but it is what it is by voting. So what do we vote for? We vote for a government to take action. So I call on the Prime Minister in this Hall of Power, if the Prime Minister believes that Black lives matter, will the Prime Minister commit to ending racial profiling in our country? If the Prime Minister believes that Black lives matter, will the Prime Minister commit to ending the over-policing of Black bodies? If the Prime Minister truly believes that Black lives matter, will the Prime Minister commit to ending the over-incarceration of Black people in this country? Now, if the Prime Minister truly believes that Black lives matter, will he commit to ensuring that there's race-based data to make better decisions? Will he commit to ensuring that there's access to education, to health resources? The Prime Minister has the power to do all these things right now. The Prime Minister simply needs to get it done. If the Prime Minister truly believes that Indigenous lives matter, then similarly, the Prime Minister must commit today to ending the racial profiling of Indigenous people, the over-policing of Indigenous people, and the over-incarceration of Indigenous people. If the Prime Minister truly believed that Indigenous lives matter, the Prime Minister could stop taking Indigenous kids to court. The Prime Minister could stop delaying the action on the calls for justice for the murdered, missing, and Indigenous women and girls. If the Prime Minister believed that Indigenous lives matter, he could ensure that there's clean drinking water, access to justice, and education, and housing right now. People are angry because they're frustrated and done with pretty words. People are angry because they're done with pretty speeches from people in power who could do something about it right now. People don't want peace. They don't want an absence of tension. People want the presence of justice. People want justice. People deserve justice. People need justice, and justice is what people will get. Nothing less will do. Thank you.
Well, what do you think could quell these protests? Like, is it heavier law enforcement? Is it, like Trump said, bring in the military? Or is it something like forcing every police force to get a body cam, like a federal program to buy body cams for every officer? A new investigation? Leave your comments down below, and always have a good day.